And as no surprise to anyone, WWE completely shits the bed after WrestleMania 37, following it up with a pretty crappy Monday Night Raw tonight. I ain't gonna lie. This was kind of a letdown after what I thought was a pretty decent weekend for WrestleMania. Not perfect by any means, but still a pretty fun overall weekend. It's been a great week here on the channel. 8 days in a row. This is day number 8 of streaming here on the channel. It's been a wonderful time. I've appreciated everybody who's been here. I've had a great time doing it, and tonight is the final night. I won't be back for a few days after this. So unfortunately, no night one on Tuesdays for NXT review or anything like that for me tomorrow or Wednesday. You won't see me till later on this week, but it has been a great week, and it was a great weekend, and I kind of thought we could have a nice little cherry on top with something interesting taking place on Raw, but we didn't really get that. And we got no big surprises, no big returns. We got a couple of returns, but I wouldn't classify them or categorize them as big. And yeah, most of the people online and on social media tonight during the show, not too kind to Raw tonight, because I feel like they just really don't have their shit together creatively at all. I don't understand how this is so hard for this company that can be so great at other things, especially like, production and shit like that. If they put half that amount of energy into their creative and their storytelling and stuff, things could be so much better. But that seems to be so low on their priority list that a lot of these shows are just thrown together. They're predictable. They telegraph the hell out of everything. And some of the matches tonight were just plain stupid and not even necessary. What was that tag team shit? Leave it to WWE to take something somewhat funny like Mandy falling on her ass at WrestleMania and completely turn it into something not funny and ruin it. Where, maybe 20 years ago, they could have maybe capitalized on this more. And who knows, Mandy could have gotten a shirt out of it, or, she could have made some money or got a little bit of a push out of something like that grew from nothing. Instead, WWE just buries it, makes it cheesy, corny, stupid. And Nia Jax was falling down and all that shit in the match. And then the match just ended when Mandy and Dana just walked away. Silly, stupid, ridiculous. And it's like they don't even try. We had some great moments this week. A lot of new champions crowned. Karrion Kross, Raquel Gonzalez, Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, Sheamus, Apollo Crews, AJ and Omos. So things happened. It's just, it's like once they're back to business, it's almost like, WrestleMania just never happened. We're going to continue on sucking like we've been doing. So I don't know about y'all, but I'm really, after this weekend, I'm really ready for fans to be back in the arena. They were definitely missed, and getting back to that kind of piped in crowd noise, and them booing who they want to boo and shit like that. It's just annoying. I'm really ready for, for fans to be back. Thunderdome was in a new location as well tonight, which we will talk about. It is, in fact, the Yuengling Center at University of South Florida. That's been rumored for weeks and weeks, but we never heard any real confirmation, but that's where they were tonight. So they've got a Thunderdome here for another 4 months or whatever it is, or however long the lease or contract lasts. And it was a little more intimate of a setting. It felt like it was a little bit smaller. The actual, the virtual fans, they were a little bit closer to the entrance ramp as well. So you can kind of tell it was a new setup. Hopefully it's comfortable for the talent, because it's a much smaller arena than where they were in Tropicana. They had so much room to move and spread their wings at that place. Might not be the same in the old Sundome where Royal Rumble 1995 was. So yeah, but we're going to get into this Raw. We're going to talk about everything that we saw here, every match, and what we're now looking at heading into Backlash. And goddamn it, if those idiots in WWE think I'm going to call it WrestleMania Backlash, they're out of their fucking mind. So here on this channel, we call it Backlash. If you call it WrestleMania Backlash in the chat, you will be banned. We don't play that here. I'm kidding. But obviously, how stupid is it that they have to add the WrestleMania name all of a sudden, after 20 plus years of Backlash, all of a sudden, now it's WrestleMania Backlash. Whatever. What goes into these silly, stupid, ridiculous decisions that are so pointless and you don't even need to do? Is that going to make any difference at all? This is a company that calls their pay-per-views Great Balls of Fire. What's the fucking difference if you add WrestleMania to a pay-per-view name and make it too? Never mind. Just I'll go on for an hour about it. So yeah, WWE's kind of annoying me today, if you can't tell, and I'm not even in a bad mood. I'm in a great mood. Like I said, it was a great week here on the channel. An amazing turnout for both of our WrestleMania streams on night one for the reaction, and night two that even got more views than night one. So very happy about that, and thanks to everybody that was here with us all week, especially for WrestleMania, and welcome all the new subscribers. We took in a bunch over the weekend there too. So if you are new, just make sure you set your reminders and your notifications, and we're up here every Monday after Raw. And now that we're on the other side of WrestleMania, I've got some stuff going on in my personal life that might tweak up the channel schedule here, maybe even for the better. So just keep an eye out in the next few weeks. We might change some stuff up. I'm not sure. You're not going to get me any less or anything like that, but maybe some videos change up. Not really sure yet, but that stuff is kind of been brewing behind the scenes. But whatever happens, it will not result in less time. It will probably actually result in more. And I'm going to try to do a weekly deal on Sundays too. So that's kind of in the works right now. So keep a lookout there. And yeah, other than that, just thanks everybody for being here. And we are here once again. Unfortunately, this will be the last night of streaming for me, like I said, so I will not be able to catch the first night of NXT on Tuesdays tomorrow. Won't be able to catch AEW on Wednesday either. Gonna have to catch up with all that stuff by Friday, and then of course this Saturday we will be back up here at regular scheduled time of 3 p.m. on the West Coast, 6 p.m. on the East Coast for the Winged Eagle podcast, unless I'm extremely under the weather. I get my second COVID shot on Thursday. I heard it sucks, so if it knocks me out or does me in, we may postpone the weekend podcast, and the next time you'll see me is 1 week from tonight. That's worst case scenario. So just keep a lookout. I'll make an announcement right here on YouTube if that changes. Also, follow me on Twitter at GoodMikeWork, because I'm always talking over there, and if I feel like a pile of ass after my second shot, then we might postpone the podcast and just kind of get back to business next Monday, because I could use the break too. It's been a long-ass week, and yeah, it's just been a long week, and it's been mostly fun for the most part, although tonight WWE had a chance to kind of give them this rebirth after WrestleMania, kind of get back on the right track, get fans interested again, and it's literally like they're right back to where they were before WrestleMania, before everybody, all the interest was being buzzed. So this company needs to get their shit together, man. I'll tell you. I will tell you. Before we start rolling into the results, I need to do two things. Number one, say hello to everybody in the chat. I'll bust out these couple of super chats that are rolling in, and I want to move my Raw notes over to the correct screen because I didn't have that done before I came live. I also have not done a sound check, but if something was wrong, y'all would be telling me. But just to ease my mind, I can be heard. All right. We look good over here. We're good. All right. Well, let me cruise over to the chat. I know people are waiting for me tonight to come up here, so I want to acknowledge you guys for hanging out this evening. We've got K-Dog's Kennel and Mystery and JJ and Melissa and Ryan and Mango and Raphael and Real American. Mango Salsa is back. Maca International. We've got Randy Peace, Ungovernable, Cerebrus, Reese Jones, Tox, Mal C. Gooley. Sorry, I always mispronounce that, dude. Glad you're here. Comedic Genius is back as well. Barry's here. Got a monkey wrench in the house to hold the shit together. At this point, The Fiend is a complete joke. How many times is he going to come back only to lose? Feels like that. Now Bray Wyatt is back, and we're going to have to, really dive into that here later, because I'm still not totally understanding of what's going on. Are they now split, Bray Wyatt and Alexa Bliss? And it feels like Alexa Bliss is like, it's like a spinoff. Like she's going to be like you would in a TV show, like just develop her own character. Some people have tossed out the idea of developing her own little group, maybe with some NXT call-ups or something. Who knows? So I kind of was reading all sorts of shit on social media tonight. So if you guys have an idea of what's going on, it really feels like Alexa is doing her own thing, right now, or they're just kind of splitting up. I thought that I always kind of feel like the Firefly Funhouse and the Alexis Playground are one and the same, but they're not. They're actually two separate deals. So, we heard from both of them tonight, and we'll get into it, but I don't know what the hell they're doing. It doesn't seem, and we got no revelation in the Funhouse either, which we'll also talk about with Bray Wyatt. He didn't really explain why and what's going on. He didn't really offer anything other than he feels reborn or whatever the fuck. So I don't know what to make of that, but the one good thing about it is it has created a pretty interesting and pretty whacked character in Alexa Bliss. I mean, some people aren't a fan of this Alexa Bliss character, but I liked it more than what she was doing. I feel like what she was doing, what has been done. This is really, really different. And there are certain types of gimmicks that are so out there and so over the top. They don't work unless they're on the right person. And I think this is one of those gimmicks where it is on the right person. I wouldn't have thought that. I thought Alexa was just too cute, too pretty to kind of have one of these type of gimmicks, but it actually fits that she's like this. I just kind of envisioned something like this going to like Ruby Riott or Nikki Cross or somebody just a little bit more wild, a little crazy, a little more sensational Sherry in them. You know what I mean? Where, Alexa didn't feel like she fit that, but it's working out so well. And I think she's amazing in this role, and it's wacky and out there, don't get me wrong, and I'm not sure how long of a shelf life something like this can really have, but it's definitely an evolution in her character and something that she, just like Bray Wyatt, can go back to now for the rest of her career. Because I think for the rest of our lives, we'll wonder if, because I think at some point Bray Wyatt and The Fiend will go back to being like original Bray Wyatt, like Wyatt family Bray Wyatt at some point. And then we can always wonder, just like The Undertaker, will he ever go back to being the dead man and shit like that? So this is new, new extensions of their personality and stuff. And Alexa Bliss is, she's her career is changing like right before our eyes as as she goes on here. She's, definitely reinvented herself. So that's all interesting and stuff, and I'm happy for her. It's just, I don't know what the fuck's going on. So we'll be talking about it. Killer Cam 0714, thanks for $5 from you. What the fuck is WrestleMania Backlash? Why not just Backlash? I know. That's what I was just saying. It's ridiculous. This company is so stupid. The little weird decisions they make, I don't even know why they make them. Who said, you know what we should do? Call a Backlash, WrestleMania Backlash. Like, why even bring that up? Why even expel the energy to say that out loud? What's the difference? Backlash is old school. I'm an old school guy. I mean, it's not even that old school. Backlash is kind of created in the Attitude Era there, but it's been around since what, like 99? I like that. And it's a perfect pay-per-view and a perfect pay-per-view name to put right after WrestleMania. Backlash, simple, direct to the point. It sounds like a wrestling move. It's perfect. And now you're going to have to add your little WrestleMania bullshit to it to try to, it's like how they would run the WrestleMania revenge tours, the house show loops and stuff, the live event schedules, and attach WrestleMania to it to maybe boost some ticket sales there and have WrestleMania rematches. But, if they are calling it WrestleMania Backlash, one thing that could be is it could be just filled with a whole lot of WrestleMania rematches, and it looks like we're going to get a big one right at the top with Bobby Lashley and Drew McIntyre. Years back, I think it was WrestleMania 20, didn't they do a rematch with the three of them, with Benoit and Triple H and Shawn, I think, at that like Backlash 04 or something. So it depends on what Roman does. We were speculating last night that Roman could maybe go on to face Big E now, since Big E dropped the Intercontinental title, kind of in a shady way, with Dabba-Kato showing up, and Edge is going to be pissed at Daniel Bryan. They could go off and have their own match at Backlash, leaving Roman open for a challenger there. So, that could be Big E on that end. So I don't know what the plan is. It just seems like none of us are going to be real thrilled with whatever the hell they have planned, at Backlash. So if they just load it up with maybe some WrestleMania rematches, some new matches, I don't know. But if they're attaching WrestleMania's name to it, you got to think it's just going to have some more matches. So we could get Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt again or something like that. You know what I mean? I don't know. But I think it's stupid that they just have to attach that for no reason whatsoever. Comedic Genius, appreciate the $2 from you. I'm done with Raw. Your reviews will keep me posted. Well, thank you for passing the buck on to me and making me do all the work. What I was hoping would happen is you would watch Raw, type up the notes, send them to me, and then I can come up and do a review on it. So I guess that's not happening now. Bummer. I guess I'm going to have to sit through this shit every week. Cerebrus Corpse 97, thanks again. Good to see you. Welcome back. Thanks for the 5. Man, I've said it before. I'll say it again. Thank you, Greg. If I still watched, I'd be so tired tonight, but I get to enjoy you ripping into it a bit. I know and I try not to. I'm never up here just screaming and yelling how stupid WWE is. I'm so mad that somebody I didn't like win a match. Oh, boo-hoo, you little bitches. But I don't do that. I try to at least judge it fairly and try to like what I like and stuff, but this is just too super ridiculous for even me to handle. Like, this was a pretty big letdown, and it's kind of been a reoccurring theme in recent years. I know the last two have the pandemic attached, so you can't always, put an asterisk by that, but they haven't delivered really any home run Post-Mania Raws in a while, right? It's been a while. Like back in the good old days, like that night after Mania 28 when Brock came out, even Mania 29 when Dolph won the title, I think. Throw out some other ones, some good examples of like just a Mania where the crowd energy is just so thick and you just feel it. Something big is going to happen. You're going to get a return. And we technically did get returns tonight. Viking Raiders, Charlotte, Bray Wyatt, sort of. But, no big like, holy shit, there's Becky Lynch. Holy shit, there's Brock. There's Samoa Joe. All sorts of names being tossed out tonight. Didn't get dick. So it's just like, come on. I know they're in the Thunderdome, and you don't want to have a huge surprise for the Thunderdome. That's just something that you really want. So maybe you have to sacrifice your normal Post-Mania Raw. But even that, even without the big surprises, if the underneath stuff would have made a little bit more sense, or, been a little bit less formulaic, like the way they came up with that stupid main event match, of course, that's what they're going to do. That's the way they always do it. You got a champion out there fresh off of a pay-per-view victory, starts talking smack, one by one, Wrestlers come down, each individually with a microphone, saying that they want a shot. Authority figure shows up, makes a multi-man match, winner's number one contender. You know, it's fucking written right there, etched in stone as, example 727B of what you can do to come up with a match or whatever. So they just constantly do this shit. You knew where it was going the minute it became a multi-man thing. When Drew came out there first, that was one thing. But as soon as Strowman came out there, then you're like, okay, there's going to be more. Because Strowman just lost too. Strowman got beat by Lashley a couple of weeks ago, right? So, you know, what he doesn't have any more of a claim than McIntyre does. So they just kind of did the cheap way here or whatever. And McIntyre, of course, as we know, is going to be going into WrestleMania Backlash. But we will be talking about the closing of Raw tonight because that was interesting. And we could have a potentially new Hurt Business formed with Bobby Lashley. He's got some new members. I think they need to lose the ridiculous names and the ridiculous headgear. But he's got a couple of badasses potentially on his side now, or at least MVP has found these guys. So to me, the one silver lining in this entire shitty Raw tonight is that very ending segment. It ended with at least me having comfort now. The Bobby Lashley's going to hold on to that title a little bit because now with him having some backup, they've got another out. If they don't want to beat Drew and they don't want to just beat him clean definitively, they kind of did the thing where he passed out instead of tapped out. Now they're going to have a rematch. Could be a stipulation or something, who knows. And now Lashley's got some backup. They can play a big role in McIntyre losing the match and losing the rematch, but he still kind of stays strong. And I think something like maybe a heel turn down the line is still in the cards for McIntyre. And we saw no Sheamus tonight. Maybe he's injured. I don't know. Unless we saw him in a pre-match or in an interview and I missed it or wasn't paying attention. Kind of thought he'd come out and help Drew, but we didn't see that either. So yeah, we're getting McIntyre and Drew and Lashley again, but now with Lashley with these two guys with him, that might help ensure a more lengthy title run. And it is kind of funny with him retaining at WrestleMania. The Miz just fucked this whole situation right up because now when I look at it, as happy as I am for Lashley retaining last night and continuing on his run, I almost wish he would have just won the title at WrestleMania. That would have been a better moment for him. Let Drew just carry it in and escape Elimination Chamber, beat the Miz. Fuck the Miz. Just get him out. Just let him come in, cash in, and get his ass kicked. And then move on to WrestleMania, face Bobby Lashley, and simply do the same finish that you did with Lashley or with Drew passing out. Lashley's the new champion. That would have been a much bigger, holy shit moment. You can't use the argument, oh, maybe they didn't want that and Bianca on the same thing. They didn't have it planned out that far, so it's not like they knew what they were going to do on which nights and which matches were going to be where and stuff. So, now looking back in hindsight, if I had one critique or one thing that I wish they could do over is maybe give Lashley that moment at WrestleMania. But beggars can't be choosers. My only thing was just make Lashley somebody credible and somebody worth being at the top, and they finally have done that. So I can't have everything. So at least now with him continuing with his retaining last night and now a rematch with Lashley with two brand new guys with him, I think he's going to hold on to that belt well into the summer, and hopefully SummerSlam is what we're talking, the earliest possible dropping point for him. But we'll see. Killer Cam 714, Backlash 99, or 2000 watch along. Somebody, it might have been you that suggested those shows. I think 2000 would be more fun. They were both good, but 2000 just had that electric crowd. But basically 2000 gave you the finish we should have got at WrestleMania 16 the month before, with a big beer-bellied Stone Cold Steve Austin coming out there to help The Rock win. I think 2000 would be a good idea for April. That's probably the one I'm going to do unless I change my mind or something. But yeah, that'll be coming up in April. We've got Barry MK with 5 more. Thanks, dude. Imagine if they just add WrestleMania to every pay-per-view name. Oh, that'll be lovely. WrestleMania Money in the Bank, WrestleMania SummerSlam, WrestleMania SummerSlam Hell in a Cell War Games. Oh my God. Chris Ludecki, thanks for the 5 from you as well, dude. Thanks for all your streams and hard work this past week. Definitely hoping we can meet up for a beer soon. Yes, we need to. I should do a meet and greet for people that are in the Southern California area if we want to get something together here in San Diego. I would love to. There was another listener, Brandon, that had DM'd me a couple of weeks back saying he was going to be in town this weekend, but he never got up with me. So I was thinking if he did, we could maybe do a... pardon the phrase, 3-way, or just meet up for a couple of beers. But anybody for that matter that lives in the San Diego area or Southern California in general that doesn't mind making the drive into town here, we'll meet up. We'll do something now that vaccines are out and things are happening and bars are open. We can try to do that for show in the future, maybe this summer. George Morris is back. Thanks for 5 more from you, and welcome, dude. Hey, Greg, how are you doing? I'm afraid WWE will never be good again. It hasn't been good since the summer of hell, 2001. What do you think? It just gets worse. Yeah, it hasn't been good for me in about that long either. They've had brushes with greatness, though. There's been a lot of great stuff between then. It just hasn't been like all consistently good all the time. And I just finished up Jericho on Broken Skull Sessions, and I watched almost all of it on the last 20 or 30 minutes. I had to save until today, but today was when they got into like his 2007 return and his 2008 heel turn and the run with Shawn and his run as the champ, and, you know, that evolution of that character. That was like my favorite rendition of Jericho ever. And they touched on, you know, the Festival of Friendship and all of that. We've had plenty of things. The Ruthless Aggression era had its moments with Brock Lesnar and so much stuff going on. There's been plenty of good WrestleManias. We've had some really great emotional retirements and good Mania main events. We've had some great moments. It hasn't all binged the shits, but since the good old days of 2000, 2001, yeah, that was when you could almost guarantee you were going to be entertained every week. And it ain't like that now. That's for sure. Tomas Aridia, thank you very much for the $5 from you. Greg, love you, but you get mad when the champion gets pinned, then you get mad at a multi-man #1 contenders. What would you rather WWE do? I'm not mad. I'm just saying it's just a formula that they use all the time. You don't have to, like, neither one of those are good. Like, pinning the champion is overdone. Those aren't the only two options to do it. I love that you're like, what would you rather them do? Like, that's the true horror of WWE, is that they've put that in your head that those are the only ways to make contenders. Like, just go back and watch how it used to be. You can develop real issues. You know, and you never had these, like, Dusty Rhodes wasn't winning a series of triple threat matches to qualify the next night to get a title shot against Harley Race. You know, it wasn't like you had these personal issues, these feuds that develop, and the title can sometimes be in the middle of, but there are plenty of other ways to find #1 contenders that don't have to. You can do the way they did sometimes fine, pin your champion, sometimes fine, have an authority figure come out there and make a multi-man match, but it literally seems like that's all they do, to the point where that's all you're used to seeing and you can't even envision another way. So that's kind of on WWE to program the fans into thinking that way. They've got other things they can do. They've got other ways they can do it, for sure. And I just think it's kind of like, it's almost lazy. Sometimes it fits. I do think it fits, like in a situation where you do have a champion who has beaten all of his recent challengers and he really does have nobody to really face. But, your wrestling is all about storytelling. So if you're just having a champion face a different challenger every month who wins some sort of weird ass #1 contenders match, there's no real issue, and you can't, you don't even have a story going on there. So I'd prefer a story. I'd prefer like just a really, good, compelling story where the fans really pick sides. The fans are, really passionate about which side they have, especially if they're on the babyface. I just prefer something like that, just something with a little bit better of a story. Like if Adam Cole would have remained NXT champion through all this shit, him and O'Reilly would be working for the NXT title and stuff. So, I think, those make it better, so not that the match won't be good or anything. I just wish they'd go about it a different way. Lily the doll makes your skin crawl. Mine too, Deshaun. Thanks for the $2. That was a creepy ass looking saw doll she had there. So that's like her new, I thought that maybe that doll was eventually going to turn into a wrestler. I thought that she was going to maybe turn this person into Sister Abigail or whatever. So far, it's just a doll, but it could just be a prop for her to creep the fuck out of us. Or this doll could turn into some sort of an actual in-ring competitor of some kind. I don't know. Maybe she can infect or turn Nikki Cross into a zombie and turn her into that doll. That might be fun. Nikki Cross has got to do something, you know what I mean? Corporal Alpha Dorf, thank you for the $2. The Dorf is back in the chat. Good Mania, good. Wasn't horrible. I think looking back now, I think night one was the more solid of both shows. I think Stand and Deliver night one was better with Ciampa Walter and Raquel and Io. And night one, I think, was better at WrestleMania as well, even though they had the fucked up rain and it almost became a disaster. They had some good moments there, and Bianca and Sasha Banks, like we said, can't say enough good things about them. They owned that stage, and they did well, and they came through, and their match was good. It was smooth. It was crisp. It was botch-free, and I don't think it really could have gone any better other than maybe Michael Cole not fucking up at the end. But otherwise, night one felt like it had the moments. Night two, they main event was great. Loved Roman Reigns stacking these motherfuckers up and pinning them. But overall, the show was just, you know, kind of like, okay. The Fiend Randy Orton stuff was very disappointing. So night one seemed to have the excitement. Even though I didn't hate night two, I do agree with those people who say night one was better. I kind of agree. Anyway, I think that knocks it out for at least the pleasantries in the chat. Why don't we start rolling through this WWE Raw and get the hell out of here for the week? Because like I said, it's been a long one. And for those of you who would like to go back and watch some of that, there's a WrestleMania 37 playlist right at the top of my channel with all the videos there. You can go back and take a look at my Hall of Fame review and the NXT stuff and WrestleMania, all that shit. If you want to go back and look at it, it's there for you right now. And we'll start getting into the results here of Monday Night Raw, because we have a couple things to talk about concerning that. Number one, we did talk about they are in a brand new Thunderdome. So apparently they're at the Yuengling Center now on the University of South Florida. This was the former Sundome, where in Royal Rumble 1995 was. Pretty small building. I think it's only got about 10,000 capacity. So this is a very small downgrade from where they were. They were in a goddamn baseball stadium. So they've literally gone to a building that's about a fifth of the size or less than that. And you could tell in the arena, it had a little bit more of an intimate setting. It felt a little bit more scrunched in, and the virtual fans were much closer to the aisleway, so it didn't feel like it's open. And what I feel really bad about with the talent and stuff, I hope they all like it there, because back at the the Tropicana, they had all that space backstage. They had that ring set up, and they could do training, and you could drive golf carts around and run. You could do so much shit, spread your wings, be on your own. And a lot of wrestlers probably got used to that. This is a very small place. They're going from like a mansion into a one-bedroom apartment. So I hope it's not too cramped there production-wise with the staff and the crew and all that stuff that it takes to, produce TV these days. So hopefully that's all okay. But they're going to be there for, the remainder of the spring into the summer, and hopefully at that point we'll be talking fans again. Hopefully SummerSlam might be the next time fans are in the arena, and then maybe after that it's a regular thing for Raw. They might even have to, when all this ends, they might not be able to full-blown travel again. They might have to set up their TVs, a month at a time in spots. Try to find a venue that they can do, and kind of like Daly's Place, and have fans come every week to that venue. Totally have fans there, but you might have to maybe limit the travel. But knowing WWE, they don't limit anything. They're going to be going balls to the wall. So we'll see how that goes. But anyway, they're in the new Thunderdome, at least for now. We also have a new commentary crew on Monday Night Raw. This was announced also earlier in the weekend that WWE was going to be shaking things up on Raw and SmackDown. Tom Phillips has kind of disappeared. We heard reports that he had tested positive for COVID or had a COVID scare and had to miss Mania. There's some questions to that now, because it was also announced today that Adnan Virk, who was a ESPN announcer, I remember seeing him on ESPN. I'm like, look, I didn't even know he worked for WWE. He is now going to be the new play-by-play guy, not filling in for Tom, but being the voice of Raw. That's what they called him, the voice of Raw. And they put Corey Graves back on the show now, and they're leaving Byron Saxton there. So Samoa Joe is gone. Tom Phillips is gone. We don't know what the deal with Tom is. Hopefully all is well there. I like Tom. I think he's a good announcer. Hopefully they're not cutting him or getting rid of him. All is well there. Or maybe he's going to go to SmackDown, but he doesn't, you don't really have Cole and Phillips together. That would be weird. I really miss Mauro Ranallo, but they have now really shaken up this Raw commentary team. And I'm going to give Virk some time, because I remember him on ESPN. He was a big wrestling fan. He would throw out little, wrestling references when he would run through the highlights and stuff. But he gave me Mike Adamle vibes. I don't know what they liked about him in his, tryouts and his auditions, or what made them think that not only are we going to give him this opportunity, we're going to announce it as he's the new, voice of Raw, because WWE likes to change shit up all the time. If I was WWE, I would let him try it out for a bit, try to be that guy on Raw for a few weeks. That way, if you don't like him, you can yank him off. And tonight he had some very Mike Adamle-like, flubs. He called, I think he called Drew McIntyre the Celtic Warrior. He called, unless they're called, say, and this is the nickname, and I don't notice it. He called the returning Viking Raiders the Viking Express, and then later on he said something fucking hilarious too. I was just waiting for him to talk about Jeff Harvey. He said something else too, but he was still all right in there. You got to imagine that's a pretty stressful position to be in, your first night on Raw after Mania, no less, when you're gonna have a lot of people watching you. Probably, in my mind, not the best night to debut him. I debut him on an off night when you got less people watching, nothing's going on. You know, the night after Mania, you're going to want those voices that you trust there to get these seemingly big moments that you're going to have over. And, you know, it was just tough to get used to his voice. He doesn't have a voice that we're used to. Corey Graves' voice and his, I don't think pair well, because Graves has a lot of, you know, there's a lot of presence behind his voice. You can hear him. It's like 10 times, not louder, but just more, just deeper and just, you know, more noticeable than Adnan, who's a little bit more, got a little more high pitched voice. And he's, you know, kind of getting used to how to call wrestling. He's never called wrestling before. And that's what, you know, unless he's done something on the independents that I'm not aware of, I don't think so. This guy's a sportscaster. And this is the Kevin Dunn and Vince McMahon type of thinking here. I do think you have to have somebody. I know he's a fan and he's aware of wrestling, but you got to have somebody that has some sort of experience doing this, because he didn't feel like he was in the same flow as Byron and Corey. Here's the thing, though. He'll get there. You have to give him a chance. I hope that he understands what type of fans he's going to have to deal with here, because I can already hear him. I can already see him. I'm assuming he does have a Twitter handle. They're probably giving all sorts of shit. Tell him he sucks and blah, blah, blah. Hopefully he can brush that shit off. And hopefully the fans and WWE will at least give him a chance, and they can work with him, and we'll see if he gets better, you know, like Renee Young did. She wasn't great at first, got a little bit better before they kind of pulled the plug there. But so far, it's just going to take a bit to get used to him. He's definitely not Jim Ross, and he just really gives me this Mike Adamle vibe. Although he does have probably a little bit more wrestling knowledge than Adamle did. I know he is a fan and he is aware, but, you know, again, I just think wrestling people are better to be behind the microphone. I would almost rather groom an existing talent, a former talent, somebody like a Samoa Joe, somebody like a CM Punk, you know, who's done commentary before, somebody like that who's got, you know, the gift of gab anyway. They've been cutting great promos their whole career. I'd rather have somebody like that put the headset on than a fucking ESPN guy. So that's what I do. I just think it's for better. It makes for better storytelling. The wrestlers understand more what you will probably want told, you know, and I think they just probably have a better overall instinct of what to do in that position if you put them there, work with them, groom them for that. I just think they'd be so much better than just some ESPN fucker. But that's the Vince and Kevin Dunn philosophy. It's been in practice for a long time. Sometimes it's worked out. Back in the 90s, they brought in Todd Pettengill, much for the same reason, because Todd did radio and stuff, and they needed that. Todd didn't know that much about wrestling, but he was very knowledgeable about the product when he was there. He put over those superstars. Awesome. I love the work Todd did. So he was one that worked, but it's that idea that they want these real media people and shit that can sometimes create these bad pairings. And at least on week one, I'm not a fan. You know, unless I completely misread it and people are like, oh no, good mic work, he did okay. Maybe I'll go back and listen to it, but it was just, just it's missing that, it's missing that excitement as a listener or a viewer. He ain't taking me on any rides, and neither does Michael Cole for that matter. But I don't know. I don't know how it's going to work out. We'll see. So anyway, those are the new changes to Monday Night Raw. They cut to the beginning of the show cuts to earlier on in the day with Bobby Lashley arriving in the arena, decked out suit, looks awesome. He's got the title with him. He's walking into the arena, and in runs Matt Riddle, scooting around on a scooter. Does not seem to be too disappointed that he lost the U.S. title, and he starts talking to Lashley about all sorts of random shit. And he's like, yeah, once when I was in school, I won a tinfoil hat because I thought aliens abducted me, but it turns out I was just receiving radio transmissions in my braces or something ridiculous like that. And Lashley's basically having none of it. And Riddle kind of proposes a match. And Lashley and MVP's like, no, he's not here to do that. He's not here to do anything except to address the WWE universe, and that's it. And Riddle's like, oh, come on, bro, or whatever. So finally, Lashley gets pissed and says, get your ass out to the ring, and we'll do this right now. And Raw opens up with Bobby Lashley versus Matt Riddle, which might be a pretty fun shoot fight, too. So Lashley just beats the shit out of Riddle, kicking his ass all over the outside of the ring, tosses him over the barricade. We go to commercial. We come back. Their match lasts a little bit longer. Riddle gets some offense in, turns the tables a bit, but Lashley recovers, locks in the Hurt Lock, and taps out Riddle rather easily there. So the champ continues to roll. And I kind of thought that would be it for him, but he would be addressing the universe later on in the show. So he would be back out later, and MVP would have a presence in the main event. So that would not be the last we saw of Lashley. But I thought after WrestleMania, it was an odd way or is an odd thing for him to do. And same thing with Rhea. You know, I thought both of the first time they were both shown on camera tonight was in a backstage capacity. That doesn't feel like the night after WrestleMania to me. Usually after somebody wins a title or retains a title, they open up the show, or they come out to cut a promo to celebrate, or they come out to talk shit, or a lot of times the show opens. You know, I think the show should have opened with either Rhea or either Lashley. I know they're two heel champions right now, but one of them should have came out, and I would have just kind of written this different. So that was the first time we saw both of them. And then right after Riddle taps out to Lashley, we go backstage and they bring in Rhea Ripley for an interview, the new Raw Women's Champion. I would have had her come out and had a moment or something. I know there's no fans there, but still do something in the ring. And she talks about her already advertised match with Asuka. Now, they didn't advertise shit on WWE social media or their website today. I kept checking. I'm like, where's that Raw review? What can I expect? I want to put together a thumbnail or something for tonight. And they weren't putting anything out. So we literally went into this Raw not knowing what they were going to do, probably because they didn't know what they were going to do either. So we've got a WrestleMania rematch later on, Asuka versus Rhea Ripley. We're back out to the ring for a tag team match. Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin are now firmly out of the Hurt Business. It looks like they're on their own as a tag team, and they are taking on the returning Viking Raiders. So the music hits, they come out. Great to see them back. I know Ivar, I believe, has been out with a knee injury from a while back. It's been a while. They're back now. Same type of match we're used to seeing from them. No more dives from Ivar. He didn't seem to go too crazy, although he did do the cartwheel stuff, and they nailed their finisher, I think, on Cedric and got the pin, and Viking Raiders are back. But as much as I'm happy to see them back because of WWE, I just think that nothing is going to be different. I think they're going to be a lot like Elias. When Elias was gone all that time, the minute he was back, he was literally right back to what Elias was. Nothing was different. He wasn't, he didn't have a fire lit under him. It wasn't a new beginning for him, new storylines, new version of his character, nothing like that. WWE just likes having him do that same shit on the show every night. And he was back after a year. A lot of guys, when they're off that long, can come back and be reborn and kind of have a new motivation, new drive. And he was just right back to being Elias. That's great. He's got his spot on the show and everything, but this is kind of the same thing. I feel like Viking Raiders are back. They might even win the Raw tag team titles, but really at the end of the day, they're just going to be there. And, it's what Chris Jericho was saying on the Broken Skull sessions. He was saying, like, one of the reasons why he left back in 2005, he just felt like he was there. He wasn't doing anything. He wanted to do more than just be there. He wanted to get more out of it. So, I feel like a lot of these guys, now on TV, because the way WWE handles everything and the way they operate, they're just there. And Viking Raiders were gone for a year, or no, I don't know how long it was. It wasn't a year. Gone for quite a while due to that injury. Now that they're back, even though I was happy to see them, it's like I'm already kind of like, okay, they're back, whatever, the excitement is already gone, basically. So that's not good. Asuka gets interviewed after that about her rematch later on with Rhea Ripley, and she's like, she's not ready for me or whatever. So Asuka is vowing to win back the title tonight. And after that, we get the Queen. Charlotte's music hits. She comes out to the ring, and she is all legs. I really liked the outfit she was wearing tonight. She looked great. She looked like the Queen. And we've been wondering where she is. She was left off of WrestleMania completely. And if WWE, because we saw her get physical tonight, if they wanted to shoehorn her into WrestleMania, they could have. They could have put her in there. So, I think that's at least worth something that should, at least be acknowledged by all the, the Charlotte WWE only cares about her. She only has a job because of her dad, and they only like blonde hair and blue eyes, and she's selfish and all that fucking nonsense. So, that they left her off completely here when she was probably healthy enough and cleared to wrestle, but they didn't try to just stick her in. They left her off the card. Charlotte, a healthy Charlotte, even though there was some questions leading up to that fucked up their booking, they still didn't try to shove her in. They left her off the card, and that's pretty incredible that we went to that WrestleMania without a Charlotte or a Bayley or a Becky, really, even though Bayley did make her presence known, and Becky could be back at any time. But Charlotte being able to wrestle and not having a match was pretty incredible that they did that. So Charlotte is now using that as part of her motivation now. She comes out and she's pissed off, and I kind of like this. It was almost like a shoot promo, and she said, none of this bullshit was my fault. I'm Charlotte. I'm the Queen. I'm the most dominant female, whatever, and I'm left off of WrestleMania. I don't have a match at WrestleMania. None of this is my fault. It's not my fault that I came home one day and my dad was being an idiot. It's not my fault that Lacey turned up pregnant and I wasn't able to kick her ass at WrestleMania. None of this stuff was my fault. And then Rhea Ripley, the ultimate opportunist, comes out and steals my title match against Asuka, one that I had already called, and now has my title. And she basically just goes on to put all Rhea Ripley and all the women on notice, name drops them all the best ones, the Baileys and the Beckys and the Alexas and everybody else, and says that she's better than all of them. None of them even come close to measuring up to her. And Rhea Ripley better watch out because she's coming, and Karma is a bitch, and she's going to be that bitch. And she even talks to the fans a little bit, gets right in the camera, says, for all you fans who think that I take opportunities, no more Mrs. Nice Guy or Mrs. Nice Girl. And I kind of like that attitude. To me, that's where she should always be. Charlotte always has confidence. She doesn't lack confidence, but I like that she's got the confidence of her dad with a little sprinkle of that 1997 Shawn Michaels attitude. You don't know who you're fucking with. I'm the showstopper. I don't lay down. I call the shots. I will do whatever I want. All you are nothing compared to me. I'm the great. Sean's the guy that after a main event, after a match, he'd come through the curtain and be like, follow that. That's kind of who Charlotte is. She's got that little bit of attitude. Flair was more, Flair was shit talking. Flair would talk smack, and be very, very confident and very conceited. But that kind of like that needling attitude, that little edge that Flair never had. He was so flashy. Sean had that when he was fucked up on drugs in 1997 in DX. He was just an asshole. And for her to incorporate a little bit of that asshole persona into this character of this overconfidence, now knowing and owning her value, knows who she is. She is the Hulk Hogan of the women. She is the new Moolah. She is the new Trish, whatever. I think when her legacy is all said and done, she will be that. She will be the Ric Flair of the women. She's going to hold 47 fucking women's titles by the time this thing is over. So she's out there kind of talking. I liked everything she said in her promo. I liked all of it because you could feel it. What do we always say? Best promos are the ones that the person telling it truly believes. And I feel like a lot of what she was saying tonight, she does believe, especially when she addressed the fans, how she just gets a ton of social media shit. I see it all the time from the same accounts with 26 followers. Are like, Charlotte is selfish and blah, 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 like they don't have a fucking single clue in the world how anything works at all. So it's like that type of thing that Charlotte is looking in the camera and directing anger at them. That's going to get her more heat. All that's going to do is rile up those little fuckers. They're going to go on social media and just complain some more and they get madder and madder and madder. So I kind of like that she is now taking this and just being like F you to the fans. And I kind of like that. But I mean, I'm assuming she's kind of a heel here. It seems like she's targeting Rhea Ripley, who's also a heel. So certainly they're not trying to make Charlotte a face in this, are they? But Rhea Ripley, they're trying to make a heel too. So I don't know what the fuck. And it looks like there might be some sort of a triple threat deal at Backlash now anyway, with what would happen in the match coming up next. So after she puts everybody, specifically Rhea Ripley, on notice, we go to the WrestleMania rematch. Rhea Ripley defending the new Raw Women's title against Asuka. Not a great match here. A lot of people didn't think last night's match was that great either. Certainly wasn't as good as Sasha and Bianca. They lacked the chemistry that Sasha and Bianca had. But I didn't think it was bad. But this match wasn't very good. And they find themselves both on the outside of the ring. And Charlotte shows back up. She attacks them both, and she kicks off her heels and just does a number on both of them. I think that she hits them both from behind, and they both kind of run into the steel steps. That's what it was. Referee calls for the bell. So I think I couldn't tell who gets disqualified here. I have no idea if it was a no contest or whatever. Ref calls for the bell. She kind of hit them both at once, so I don't think one or the other was disqualified. Didn't even care to look up the actual result of that. So ref calls for the bell, and then she goes on to kick both their asses and delivers a really awesome looking kick. Like I said, she was all legs, and she had she comes running almost with like a haluva kick onto Rhea Ripley, who goes down, looked great. And she just looked great. She just beat both her asses. So a lot of fans are complaining about that. Oh, why does she ever stay out of the title picture or whatever? I mean, they're the ones that put her there. She was already in it. So, what would she really do? She was in, they looked like they were going to do that with Lacey. Lacey was supposed to beat Asuka and then do the title match there. Then she challenged Asuka, and the COVID and the false pregnancy and the Andrade and all that shit was going on. She's bumped from Mania, and now she's back. She goes, I want this fucking title shot that I'm supposed to get. So I don't think it doesn't make sense. I think the fans just like to say that because they hate Charlotte. It does make sense. She is Charlotte, and she was left off of WrestleMania, and she wants a chance. So, you could do the thing where she has to prove it, give her a bunch of singles matches and let her win for a few weeks. Maybe, okay, fine, fair enough or whatever. But, Shawn never had to do that, when he come back. Sean got the match against Bret Hart at Survivor Series 97, the screw job, you know? So he beat, well, I guess he beat Taker Ford in Hell in the Cell, but it's not like he was wrestling a lot on TV. Prior to that Montreal screw job match, I think he had 4 matches on TV or something the whole year, you know? So, because he was hurt, you know, and all that shit. So, and then he left and everything. So it was crazy. So it's just, she's here now to attempt to take the title. We'll see. What would be cool here is if Rhea Ripley can get this victory back over Charlotte somehow. So if they are now, since Charlotte attacked both of them, if we get that match either now, it might already be announced for all we know on social media, or if they do that next week on Raw, that at Backlash, Asuka will be facing Charlotte and Rhea Ripley in a triple threat, or Rhea will be facing Charlotte and Asuka in a triple threat, defending the title, you know, and then maybe Charlotte wins the title by pinning Asuka or some shit, and now she's champion. Fans flip out. Then maybe Rhea gets a rematch, and then beats Charlotte for the title and gets that win back from, you know, WrestleMania last year or something. I don't know. But I think along with Lashley, I think the belt is probably safe on Rhea, at least for a little while. I don't think they'd give the belt to her at Mania and take it off of her at Backlash. Doesn't seem like what they're going to do. So if you're pissed about Charlotte being involved in this match, I think there's a strong likelihood she ain't winning the title at Backlash. So at least you have that. And hell, maybe you do a finish where Rhea, you know, continues to stake her or make her mark on Raw. Like, I am here. I am somebody to be contended with. And maybe even if they do the match at Backlash, she pins Charlotte, you know, just to solidify her that much more strongly. And then around SummerSlam time, you take the belt off of her too, maybe even sooner than that. We got Money in the Bank coming up. Somebody could win that, cash in on Rhea Ripley. Could certainly happen. So anyway, I actually liked what we saw with Charlotte tonight. It was funny to see people complaining. I'm like, what would you have preferred? Would you prefer her came out and do that on WrestleMania? At least they waited until after WrestleMania. They didn't try to force her in anywhere. And it's a brand new night, new, you know, new storylines, new direction, all this stuff. She comes back. I think it was kind of the right place to bring her back, especially if we weren't going to get any other big surprises. Still no Becky Lynch, no Samoa Joe, nothing fun like that, no Brock. So Charlotte it is. Charlotte and Bray Wyatt, I guess. Anyway, so that match happened. If that match wasn't dumb, this one was even dumber. We've got Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler taking on Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke again. So this was all set up backstage. So dumb. We all saw Mandy Rose slip and fall on the stage at WrestleMania because the goddamn thing was wet. She fell on her ass. Big deal. She didn't eat shit. You know, she didn't fall on her face, nothing like that. Just fell on her ass, got right up. A lot less embarrassing than what happened to Ultimo Dragon at WrestleMania 20. So you cut backstage, and I think you've got Nia Jax and Shayna watching the monitor, laughing at Mandy falling. Oh, look, she fell or whatever. And that was a couple backstage segments, interaction between the two. Mandy and Dana come in and they push Nia Jax down or something like that. And then that leads to the match. So we get the tag team match, and this was so fucking dumb. So basically, the whole thing is just centered around making fun of Mandy Rose. And then Nia Jax is up on the apron, and then she slips and falls. And then everybody's like, oh, she fell. And then she's all embarrassed. And then Dana Brooke and Mandy Rose, who I think are baby faces, they just start to leave in the middle of the match. You would think that maybe a victory over the tag team champs might help your position on the card in the, you know, in terms of contenders and stuff. But instead, they think this is so funny that they then walk away and they say, it's not worth it. And they walk away, they leave and intentionally get counted out because Nia Jax slipped and fell. Why even do that match? That's so stupid. So WWE took something that happened spontaneously that they weren't expecting at WrestleMania, something that they maybe could have done and made something and done something fun with. And instead they just fucking ruined it because they have no creativity and they're not funny and they're not clever. And this sucks. It's so goddamn fucking stupid, the shit they do. It's just so, it's corny. It's cheap. This is for 3-year-olds. It's for fucking 3-year-olds. And it's just like, what are they doing? Who is writing this? Let me look at their fucking faces, you know? Like, it's just so bad. So I'm all for, like, when Titus fell and he flew under the ring, that the Royal Rumble takes something like that, take a mistake and run with it and make it fun. You know, but instead you sabotage poor Mandy Rose, who could have taken a huge negative like that and made it into a fun t-shirt or something. Wrestling fans love to, you know, love it when stuff gets bubbled up out of nowhere. But when you get a team of writers sinking their teeth into something like this, they're going to fuck it up. So not that just falling on your ass could be a game-changing thing or anything like that, but game-changing stuff that we see, little things that we weren't expecting that turns into be the biggest part of somebody's career or whatever. I feel like those days are gone. We're never going to get those moments again, you know, because when Matt Riddle does the flip-flops, now WWE has to have fucking butterflies effect flying out of the flip-flops when he does it. Like little things like that, they ruin and fuck up everything. Imagine if an Austin 316 promo happened today. You know, they'd have him out there next week in a priest's outfit, being like Vince when he went into the church that time, and they'd have him, he would be Preacher Austin or Reverend Steve or something like that. I swear to fucking God, that would be his gimmick. He would say Austin 316, crowd would react to it, and WWE's like, they must want him to be a preacher. Like that's how off they are on, you know, having their finger on the button and being able to, you know, understand, you know, what's cool or what's in, or, you know, being able to you know, for lack of a better term, in touch with the times. And they're not. It's out of touch. A lot of the stuff is out of touch. And it just feels like nobody's going to be able to grow, and you're not going to be able to get that spontaneous, out of nowhere, holy shit, that's super over moment anymore, because WWE, whenever they do get a seed or they do give a little gift handed to them that they could sprout into a big, amazing, wonderful, lush garden, you know, they turned it into a fucking weed, you know, and rip it right out of the ground before it even has a chance to grow. So they suck. That match was dumb. After that, we get Bobby Lashley's almighty address. He comes out to the ring now, and MVP's on the mic. He's putting over Drew McIntyre as a warrior, says that he's awesome and blah, blah, blah. And he also says that just makes Lashley even that much tougher because he put down a warrior like Drew with the Hurt Lock. If Drew can't get out of the Hurt Lock, ain't nobody can get out of the Hurt Lock. Nobody can beat this thing. Nobody can handle the pressure of the Hurt Lock. This prompts McIntyre to come out. He gets in MVP's face. MVP talks a little trash. I did like the moment where Drew was like, choose your words carefully. Lashley ain't here. And MVP's like, okay, you know, he knew he wasn't going to be crazy. That's what I like about MVP. Another thing that I like about him in terms of being a mouthpiece in that like Paul Heyman type of role, he's smart. Like he's not fucking stupid. You know, he's a good business guy. I'd want him running my shit and handling my shit and making some of my decisions for me. You know, I feel like, you know, he comes across as somebody that kind of knows what he's doing, and he's not going to let his emotions get the best of him too often to where he's going to, you know, put himself in harm's way or whatever. So he seems just like a little bit more together than most. So I like that. So he gets in MVP's face and he says he will get his rematch and one day he will beat Bobby Lashley. And I was like, great. He's just teasing it here. They're going to have Drew McIntyre do something else. He came out to make a point to tell MVP, I will get a rematch, but now I'm going to go play around with somebody else and you have a new opponent. But no, Braun Strowman comes out after that, and that immediately made it obvious what they were going to do. As soon as Braun Strowman came out, I'm like, it's probably going to be somebody else. I didn't know who. I was thinking maybe it would be a returning Samoa Joe. I thought maybe AJ Styles. I didn't even consider Randy Orton, to be honest, until Randy Orton came out. And then I'm like, oh, yeah, it makes sense. He had a victory at WrestleMania. So you got Orton, you got Strowman, you got Drew in there, all jaw-jacking. They all want a shot at Bobby Lashley. And then, big surprise, Adam Pearce comes out and says, well, we got all of you here. Why don't we just do a triple threat tonight in the main event? The winner faces Bobby Lashley at Backlash. So that's what we would get. Excuse me, later on. Let me take a sip of my Stella Artois. And then we'll get into the dumbass segment with Elias and Jackson Riker. Oh, I got to back up a little bit. I missed the Miz stuff. We'll talk about that in a minute. Let me cruise over here to the chat, make sure all is well in the neighborhood. Deacon Steve, I like it. I like it. Me get a job in WWE? No, I would not be able to handle it. I'd be fired so fast. So fast. As soon as somebody was condescending to me or talked to me like I was fucking stupid, I'd curse them out. I'd be thrown out. Security would throw me physically out of the building. Because I'm like, oh, no, you don't. As soon as Stephanie came over to me with that condescending laugh and she talked to me like I'm a piece of shit in the street. I don't think so. I don't care how many billions you have. Greg doesn't play that. Yeah, Ryan. Hey, what was the rule, Ryan? We have to ban you. You said WrestleMania Backlash. That is not allowed. Let's backtrack a little bit because as I was reading my notes, I completely skipped over another match after the Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler stuff, or I'm sorry, after the Rhea Ripley and Asuka stuff, and prior to the tag match with Nia, Shayna, and Mandy and Dana. we had a couple of things take place: Alexa's Playground, Miz TV, and a tag team match. So I skipped over all three of those things. So the Alexa's Playground stuff, they cut back to the back. They got that ring set up there. And Alexa, this is where I had trouble kind of understanding what she was really talking about. She was on the swing, and she says that she realized she can do things all on her own. And I guess she's kind of realizing the control that she really has. She's got this wacky ass fucking voodoo doll sitting next to her on the swing, and she calls it Lily. And I was at first thinking that this Lily was going to turn into a human of some kind, and and be an actual in-ring competitor or something. That might still happen, or this is just going to be a new thing that she's going to carry around the ring. It's going to be her Damien or her Frankie or her Matilda or something like that, and she's going to carry that around and freak people out with it. I don't know, but it kind of felt like, because last night, at WrestleMania, she cost The Fiend the match by kind of controlling him or whatever. So it turns out that this is a little twist in the story I didn't really see coming, that she kind of had the control all along, and she's kind of holding all the cards, I guess. So help explain this to me, because I'm writing notes, I'm watching her, and I'm also distracted. I don't know what the fuck's going on. So she's got a new friend there, and I don't know what the next direction is going to be for her, but both her and Bray Wyatt made it seem like they might be kind of done with each other for a little bit. So I don't know what to make of that. Anyway, help me out. Pan Dolce, thank you very much. Good to see you here. I'm glad you're back. We're talking about Stone Cold Steve Austin's lost gimmick of Deacon Steve. It was great back in the day. By the way, the likes are pretty low. If you guys can help me out, smash that thumbs up button for me. We're going to roll through the rest of these results, and then I'm probably going to bounce because it's been a long-ass week. Yeah, Ronnie Matthews, you're with me. We talked about that earlier. I would love that doll to turn into Nikki Cross. That would be great. That would make the most sense given their relationship, Nikki and Alexa, because we've even seen Nikki try to reach out to Alexa Bliss before, try to help her. And, even that one time Alexa Bliss basically had no recollection of a previous encounter the two of them had. So this could be cool. Like if Alexa can kind of start summoning Nikki. We have not seen Nikki on TV. Now, we did see her over the weekend. I think she was interviewed at the Hall of Fame and shit. So we have seen her, but she hasn't really been on TV. And they could explain that she's kind of been missing or whatever. Or maybe she's been soul searching, and, they do something where, she tries to, or she just returns with Alexa, or maybe Alexa attacks her first and then she becomes this person. I don't know. I think that's pretty likely, though, for her to become that. I would love that. I think that would be great. That would be fucking fantastic, man. Anywho, where did we leave off? TBEJ, thanks for the $2. How long do you think Lashley will hold the title? I'm hoping until SummerSlam. That's what I'm hoping here. So anyway, after the Alexa Playground stuff, we go to Miz TV with Maurice. Maurice was backstage, and that's going to be their guest tonight. So they're still doing the thing where Morrison is just kind of this oblivious idiot, and that Miz always has to correct. And you can tell this is eventually going to probably culminate in Miz just beating the shit out of him. So they don't seem to be too upset about what happened to them, their loss last night, because all of the headlines, all of the press, all the attention that the match with Bad Bunny and Damian Priest was getting. So they feel that they are the ones that were responsible for making Bad Bunny's match good, which in reality kind of is the truth. So we go to Miz TV. Maurice is out there with him. It was kind of funny to see Maurice do the slow motion John Morrison deal. That was good. They're in the ring now. They're taking credit for the Bad Bunny match and shit like that. And that's when Damian Priest comes out, sans Bad Bunny. So I guess Bad Bunny's current deal with WWE was to do everything up until WrestleMania, and then he'll disappear, leaving Damian Priest on his own. And again, this was so predictable. I'm like, as soon as he came out there, I'm like, all right, Miz and Morrison are going to get a win back here. He's going to challenge one of them to a match and he'll lose. But he wound up challenging them both to a match in a handicap deal. So we go to commercial, we come back. It's Damian Priest versus Miz and Morrison. Miz and Morrison win. Maurice was there helping out a lot. I think Miz was the one to pin Damian Priest with his feet on the ropes and everything, so they cheated and got the victory there over Damian Priest. So not a huge surprise, and another thing that was, like a lot of things tonight, extremely super predictable. So anyway, I forgot to mention that earlier on. Sorry for skipping over that earlier. We now go to the ring with Elias and Jackson Riker again. Elias is about to start playing, but when he starts playing the guitar, you hear the trumpet sound, so you know it's going to be New Day. So he's like, what the fuck? And the New Day comes out and interrupts. A long-winded promo, typical New Day stuff where they're just ragging on Jackson Riker and Elias. Pretty funny, although, you know, to see Riddle and New Day, I know their characters are really happy-go-lucky and shit, but I don't know. Part of me just doesn't like to see champions that happy, you know, or former champions that happy after dropping the belts the night before. The British Bulldogs weren't that happy. Randy Savage sure as shit wasn't that happy after he dropped the belt to Steamboat at WrestleMania. You know, these are WrestleMania title match losses that you had. You know, you got to be a little bit like down in the dumps or a little bit fired up to want to get the belts back. They were both out there, just their typical old selves, just having a good time. And I guess the New Day, it doesn't matter. They've won those goddamn belts so many times. They really don't care if they're the champs or not. So they do all this shit talking, which, you know, again, it's all about predictability, right? Which has been a popular word and a theme in this podcast. You knew that they were out there probably to propose a match, which is what they did. Proposed a match with Elias and Jackson, and we got that. And much like the Miz and Morrison from earlier on, again, with the predictability, you're like, they're probably going to give New Day their win back or give them a victory after losing last night, because they sure as shit ain't putting over Elias and Jackson Riker. So sure enough, New Day beats Elias and Riker. They could have saved us a lot of time and just done a match and had them win, but no, that would be too easy, wouldn't it? Randy Orton promo up next backstage kind of alludes to the fact that he feels like he's done with Alexa Bliss and The Fiend, which makes me think that he is not. But he kind of says they kind of seem to disappear right now, so I guess that frees me up for the first time in 6 months. I've been dealing with these assholes, and now I finally am free to focus on what matters, focus on the title, focus back on being the Viper and getting back to the top of the mountain and blah, 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 right? So he is ready for that match later on, and he's vowing to win it. And then we get a Firefly Funhouse segment with the return of Bray Wyatt. So last night at WrestleMania, the Fiend, the extra crispy Fiend, started walking through the tunnel and then basically just magically reappeared into regular Fiend, and then Alexa Bliss jacked him out of the box. That sounds awesome. And he comes in and attacks Randy Orton. They have the match, and then Alexa does the deal, and he loses. But since he kind of was turned back into the regular Fiend, you would have to think that regular Bray Wyatt or Funhouse Bray Wyatt is also okay. So he's back with all the characters, Ramblin' Rabbit and the other one and the other one, whatever their names are, and he doesn't reveal anything. He's pretty animated, dancing around and doing all sorts of shit, says he feels reborn and that he shall return, probably referring to the Fiend. And he says the Funhouse will be bigger and badder and stronger than ever, and some funny music plays, and that was it. So he alluded also a little bit to the fact that, you know, him and Alexa are kind of just not associating right now, but you know that, I mean, you can't have two of the same characters on the show. You know, I mean, I know one's a man, one's a woman, but they're two real similar characters. I like the idea of a spinoff character and shit, which is kind of like what they're doing here, but eventually you got to think they're going to come back together, and I really don't know what they're doing. Last night at WrestleMania was a huge letdown with that match opening up, and, you know, Fiend coming back and losing again. This is the third time they've shit the bed with the Fiend. It feels like they had that debacle at the Hell in the Cell when he first, you know, started getting cooking, and that kind of ruined it. And then when he recovered and won the title in Saudi Arabia, he only went back to Saudi Arabia to drop the damn thing to Goldberg, and now this. And now he's kind of back to being Bray Wyatt, or Funhouse Bray and the Fiend. But how can we really love and take this character seriously if he's just, every time he comes out on TV, he loses, and one finisher will beat him, you know, after being impervious to pain throughout earlier in the match. So that might tie into Alexa's power, that, you know, when she wants him to be impervious, he can, but then she can take it away from him. Maybe that's what it means. I don't know. But if she is truly in control, she might be controlling him. And we'll see. Hopefully this gets good. The Alexa Bliss and Bray Wyatt saga doesn't seem to be the type of thing that you can just write during lunch like the rest of your fucking matches. So I feel like they do have some ideas here, and maybe a little bit more forward planning with this angle than they do others, just based on the wackiness of it. But I don't know really where it's all going to lead and what it's going to mean for Backlash. Is it going to be Orton and Bray one more time, or is it a whole new thing happening now? I don't know. We'll see. Mike McGee, appreciate the $5. Did you, Aleister Black is controlling Alexa. The way she sat yesterday and the symbol matched Aleister Black. Best part of Mania was the Fiend's entrance. We talked a lot about Aleister Black last night. The jacket did look like him. I didn't put together the symbol and the way he was sitting, but he did sit like that. So that could be true, but then tonight didn't feel too much like Aleister. At WrestleMania it did. It had that Aleister feel, but then tonight, I'm trying to remember what her face paint was like, or did she have any at all? I think it was more just the eyes, the contacts and stuff. So to me, it was almost more about like unveiling that new doll of hers, which I don't know what the fuck that's going to be. But this would be a wonderful way to bring Aleister Black back and to do something with him. And he's a guy that I think is fucking money anyway. So if they brought him in to be a part of this, I'd be totally into that. Hopefully that turns out to be the case. But again, I don't like to hold my breath on things because whenever we want something, WWE gives us the opposite because they love us. Main event time. This is a triple threat. Winner to face Bobby Lashley for the WWE title at Backlash. Braun Strowman versus Drew McIntyre versus Randy Orton. I mentioned Adnan calling Drew the Celtic Warrior earlier on, which I think is funny because Drew and Sheamus are alike. I think their theme musics are even the same. They're just the same, you know, they feel like they're really closely the same character, pretty much completely. So Adnan, he gets a pass there. And I don't know if that's the proper pronunciation. I see Adnan, I think of General Adnan from the Triangle of Terror. So if I'm mispronouncing that, I apologize. But he called him the Celtic Warrior, which was kind of funny. Match goes on. I was barely paying attention to it. You want to know why? Because I just didn't give a fuck. You know, it's going to be Drew. You figured it would be. Strowman wouldn't make any sense. He just lost to Lashley on TV. Orton would make a little bit of sense, but you weren't feeling that either. You felt like whatever they were going to do here would lead to Drew winning. I did like the finish. Good finishing sequence there with Randy Orton hitting an RKO onto Braun Strowman, going for the pin, and while he's in pinning position, McIntyre comes flying in from the side of the screen and hits him with a Claymore and pins Randy Orton to win the match. So that was a pretty cool finish there. Him coming in to kind of steal that victory away from Randy Orton, plus given all of their history. Or he might have pinned Strowman. I know he hit Randy Orton with a Claymore, but maybe he jumped on Strowman to pin him. That might have been the way it was. Either way, he Claymored Orton, got the win there, and he will now face Bobby Lashley at Backlash as he is in the ring celebrating. Before the show goes off the air, he's then attacked by T-Bar and Mace. Boy, is that the way you expected a post-WrestleMania Raw to end? Some Raws end with Brock Lesnar, some end with T-Bar and Mace. So T-Bar and Mace hit the ring. They attack McIntyre, beat him up. MVP is out on the stage while this is happening, watching, nodding. They get out of the ring, and they don't go very far. They're just right up to the ramp. They don't even join MVP before the show is going off the air, but you kind of get the wide shot of T-Bar and Mace with MVP in the background. So looks like they have disbanded Retribution to maybe shuffle around some of these people, and maybe MVP is now going to form a bigger and better and badder faction. These guys are bigger, you know, they're a little bit more badass. And MVP has recruited them to maybe join the Hurt Business. If they do, I think they need to lose the Retribution shit. I think they got to take that the stupid fucking jock straps off of their faces and at least try to go back by their real names. Go by Dominik Dijakovic and go by, what's the other guy's name? I forgot what his name is now. The dude who did commentary. Tall guy with the hair. I can't remember his name. I liked him before. So I think they got to lose that shit. Maybe just go by their regular names and they can kind of be back up. Because they don't fit that Hurt Business theme. Like, could you imagine these guys in like really nice $1,000 suits with a fucking Mankind mask on? You look ridiculous. So I think they're probably going to have to lose that and maybe just be more. I could see Dijakovic, you know, dressed up in a suit, just being a little bit more, you know, being a little bit more serious. I think that would fit him and be a nice character transition for him. Would love that. So we'll see what they do there, but it seems like MVP has now formed some stronger backup for Lashley, and I do like this because of what I said earlier, with T-Bar and Mace now potentially joining up with MVP and Lashley, giving them some backup, giving them some more muscle. I feel like this kind of ensures the run of Lashley for a little bit while longer at least. He should be hanging on to that belt now a little while if he's got backup like this, you know, with him. So I'm hoping that just ensures that T-Bar and Mace can interfere and fuck up Drew McIntyre at Backlash and cheat to help Bobby Lashley win. It's all that matters to me. is that Lashley continues his run, you know, and then maybe Drew can have singles matches with those guys or whatever. But then the match or the pay-per-view after that is Money in the Bank. So you could put, you know, Drew might feel like he got screwed at Backlash, but they can be like, look, too bad, man. You lost at WrestleMania, you lost at Backlash. You can't just keep giving you opportunities, but we will put you in the Money in the Bank. And then they could put Drew in the Money in the Bank. And then he doesn't win Money in the Bank because somebody stops him and he feuds with that person. And now he's out of the title picture, at least for a little while. And Lashley can run towards SummerSlam to whatever they have planned. Probably at this point, nothing. But that's kind of how I would do that to kind of get McIntyre out of the title picture, but keep him strong. At the same time, maybe give him a new opponent, a new feud, maybe turn him heel or something like that. But, you know, if you can have T-Bar and Mace help Lashley win now, the next pay-per-view, you can just stick him in the Money in the Bank and he can just not win that. And then after that, he can be off to something else. And so can Bobby Lashley. We'll see. We'll see where it leads. Mike, thanks for 2 more. Has this been the worst WrestleMania week in a while? Yeah. Better than last year. Last year was just fucking depressing. But this was not good. Dio Madden, thank you for that. He should just be called Dio Madden. I don't mind that name. I like it. Real question here. Where is Bisquick and Mia Yim? Mia Yim, I think, is going to come back as Mia Yim at some point. I would hope, and I don't know what they're going to do with little Flappy. I have no idea. He might be out left in the dust. And Ali has been around. Was he in the Battle Royal? I think he was in the Battle Royal on SmackDown. So he's been on TV within the last few days, but again, I don't know what their plans are for him. They gave him retribution. He's right back to having no direction, just like before. Same thing. So yeah, wrestling is fun, isn't it? Ain't it fun? Jock straps and suits. Bank it. That's right. Well, we talked about that earlier on. Like, you're going to have to get used to Charlotte being in the title picture. You know, I know she should take a break sometimes, and she has. She kind of has been in the middle of that break. But in terms of right now, you have to at least remember what she was doing prior to this. So the fans that like to say it doesn't make sense that she's in the title picture, well, it kind of does, because last time she was on TV, she was kind of in it. The plan was to do her and Lacey, and I think we can all agree we're happy that didn't happen. I'm so glad we got Asuka and Rhea Ripley and not Charlotte and Lacey. And then after that, she came out and challenged Asuka, and they were probably going to do something there. But then the COVID and the false pregnancy and the Andrade stuff was all happening. They bumped her off Mania. They brought her back, and now she's, you know, picking back up. She acknowledged that in her promo. That's what we want. We want shit that makes sense, right? She said that in her promo. I came out here and challenged Asuka, and this fucking bitch Rhea Ripley came in and took my spot. She's all mad, you know? So at least they're acknowledging that. They're not pretending like it didn't happen. They're not like they pretended that they'd never seen Dabba-Kato before. Who is this guy? The dude that's on Raw Underground? The dude that Apollo obviously saw because he recruited him. You announcers, you don't remember this, Michael Cole? So, you know, shit like that. At least I think at least for right now, it makes sense, but I wouldn't worry too much. You've got that's what you have to understand. You have a brand new Raw Women's Champion right now. I'm not saying it's a guarantee, but usually when that happens, she ain't going to be dropping the belt at the very next pay-per-view. So if Charlotte gets a title shot here, I'd be surprised as hell, even as much as WWE loves Charlotte, for them to put the belt right back on her. If they do that, then I'm going to kind of be of this mindset. I'm like, okay, this is too much. You bring Rhea Ripley in, you give her the title, and then immediately after you just beat her a year ago with Charlotte WrestleMania, you put the belt on Ripley for a month, you make her face Charlotte at Backlash immediately, and you beat her, and Charlotte's a new champion. Fuck you guys. I don't think they're going to do that. If they do, then I'm going to kind of be right there with you. But in terms of right now, her being in the title picture does make sense based on what she's been doing on TV last time she was on TV, prior to her taking that absence, and she was left off of WrestleMania. Fans are never happy. WWE leaves their queen bee off WrestleMania, a person that we thought would be main event in this motherfucker and winning a title and show going off the air with Pyro and her holding up a title, wasn't even on the show. So now she's back, and they're still mad. Like, she's Charlotte. She's going to be in the title picture. You know, this would be like Hogan coming back, you know, after Earthquake beat him up on the Brother Love show. Like, why is he back in the title picture? I'm like, because he's Hulk Hogan, you know, so like he's a multi-time champ. He's the man. He's been on top of the fucking industry and his division, much like Charlotte has. So she's, you know, she's kind of she is their queen bee. So if she's getting a title match right now, to me, what that tells me is she won't be dropping the belt. Or she won't be winning the title. She could. WWE could do that because they're fucking crazy. But my instinct tells me she's not. Not at least right now. Maybe later, maybe in a few months, whatever. But at least for the immediate purposes, it looks like they're probably gearing towards a triple threat unless they do a match that determines Rhea's challenger, maybe between Charlotte and Asuka on TV and the winner or whatever. I like the idea of bringing Io Shirai up and teaming her with Asuka, going after the tag belts. But then again, that would just be a replay of the Kabuki Warriors, and WWE didn't do anything great when they had two great women there on the same team. So I don't know if it'll be any different with Io Shirai and Kairi Sane. But I think we're safe. I think we're safe, at least for the immediate future, for a Charlotte title run. So if I know it's in the fans' blood, it's in their DNA, it's code written, you know, into the fans' structure that they absolutely have to reject Charlotte everything that she does. But this is one of those situations where I don't think she's going to come in and take the title. She already beat Rhea Ripley last year. That pissed enough of us off as it is. I don't think that'll be a repeat of that here. They'll probably keep Charlotte strong and all of that, don't get me wrong, but I don't think she's going to be coming right back on the scene and taking that title away from Rhea Ripley. I think Rhea Ripley has earned a chance to at least run with it for a little bit, at least into the summer. Maybe not all the way to SummerSlam, maybe not. Just depends. But in terms of Backlash, I think at least Ripley and Lashley should be, their title runs will be safe. There might be some other ones not so safe. Romans will probably be safe as well, but, you know, we'll see. And so, they might all be safe. Bianca's might be safe for a bit too. What's next for Bray Wyatt and The Fiend? I don't know, Miles. Appreciate the $2. Your guess is as good as mine. Looks like both, you know, we had two segments from each tonight. Alexa was a little bit more revealing because she did kind of talk a little bit about, you know, how she's feeling and that she's, you know, kind of in the control she has, and she's got that new friend that she's introducing. That I love the ideas that people are throwing around for that to eventually morph into a Nikki Cross. That might be fun, and I think Alexa and Bray will finally come back together. But I've been mostly asking you guys what the hell's going on there, because I just don't know, man. I do not know. Have a match, buried alive match, and just kill off The Fiend and bring back Bray Wyatt. Maybe one day Bray Wyatt can form another Wyatt family. I mean, obviously you can never duplicate the original. You know, Luke Harper's no longer with us, and, you know, Rowan is Rowan. But if he kind of found, you know, some new recruits, a new breed, you know, to manage or something, a new kind of Wyatt family, I don't know, might be kind of fun. Maybe incorporate some sort of a Luke Harper tribute into that Wyatt family faction of the future in 2 years. You know, if he forms something with a couple of NXT guys and, you know, they just incorporate something Luke Harper-ish in there, might be something fun for the future. I think Lesnar's going to be back. We talked about that over the weekend. Lesnar's got a couple of money matches here waiting for him. There's a payday waiting for Lesnar. He's got big money with Lashley, and he's got big money with Roman. I think both of those matches are both intriguing for different reasons, and he should be coming back this year. I think he will. I don't know the details. I don't know if he's signed or if they're talking or negotiations. I know nothing. I don't have any sources on that, but if I'm Brock, I'm coming back. There's money to be made. Thank you for that, Real American. Dabba-Kato is Commander Aziz now. So, okay, is this his third name? Wasn't he Babatunde or something? And now Dabba-Kato, now Commander Aziz. Okay. Charlotte doesn't add anything to the title. That makes no sense. Well, these anti-Charlotte people, y'all will just say anything. It doesn't matter. You're just so anti-Charlotte. Think before you say. I don't even know how to respond to something like that. Like, what are you talking about? It's one of your top women in the company. The fact that fans just can't it doesn't make any sense why she wins. I'm like, oh my God. It's not fucking rocket surgery. Jesus. It's never as deep as y'all make it to be either. we might get the Fiend versus first Fiend. There was a lot of people thinking last night that that was not Bray Wyatt because he had slimmed down a lot, but then you could kind of tell it was him. You could see his neck tattoo and stuff, and there have been rumors floating around that Bo Dallas, you know, could be coming in to do something. I would love that if Bray and Bo teamed up, or if Bo, because I thought what was going to happen maybe is like Bo Dallas was the crispy Fiend, and then the regular Fiend comes back, and the two, you know, do like a double doink situation on Randy Orton. Like I thought Randy Orton would have the match with Crispy, and then regular would show up. So that sounds awesome. So you'd have an original recipe. The Fiend shows up to save extra crispy Fiend. That might be fun. And it could be Bo Dallas playing the other one. So maybe they could do like an Undertaker versus Undertaker thing. I don't think they will unless they have something really crazy planned, and it would probably have to be cinematic, because when they tried that shit in 94, man, that SummerSlam crowd had no fucking idea what they were even watching. They had no idea how to react to it, and it was flat, and it came off terribly. Brett and Owen should have been the main event of that night, but they might do something like that. Okay, Babatunde is his real name, because I know he came out in one of those Royal Rumbles in Saudi Arabia or something, right? I think that was the first time we saw him, and then they changed his name, so they changed his name again a couple times. What's up, Zane G? Good to see you. You guys do me a favor, too, as a nice like little goodbye gift to Good Mic Work. Smash a thumbs up on your way out the door, because it's been a long week, and I want to try to at least get them up on this video. That would be great. But I think I am going to wrap things up here and probably get out of here in just a second. More names than Beefcake? Not quite. Nobody is ever going to top the amount of gimmicks that Beefcake had in that short amount of time that he left WWE. Oh yeah, Viking Raiders are back. We might get a AJ Styles, Omos, and Viking Raiders match. We saw no AJ and Styles tonight, or no AJ and Omos tonight either. So we saw no AJ and Omos and no Sheamus. Both of them won titles last night. So don't know if there just wasn't room for them on the show because we had to show so many recaps, or if something's wrong. I don't know. You'd think it's not like them just leave them off completely. Like at least just do a backstage interview or something. So maybe there's some injuries. Sheamus and Riddle beat the fuck out of each other last night. Maybe Sheamus is hurt. Maybe somebody's got a concussion. Maybe somebody's got COVID. Maybe nothing's going on, and WWE just forgot about him. I don't know. But if anybody knows, let me know, because I've been completely detached from wrestling news all day. Haven't been paying too much attention. It's been a long week, so. Cruising up here to make sure. Yesterday was such a wild stream. I felt bad that I missed a couple of super chats. And there's one that I did miss from Joey's Adventures early on. I don't know if you're still here, Joey. Sorry I didn't catch that earlier. That $5. WWE advertised Backlash during Raw Talk, showing Fiend versus Orton, Bryan versus Roman versus Edge, and Bianca versus Sasha possible card. So that's all rematches. Maybe that's why they're calling it WrestleMania Backlash, because it's going to be all rematches. And if you add Drew McIntyre and Bobby Lashley to this now, the whole damn thing's going to be rematches. So that might be why they're doing it and they're calling it that. I just don't know. I don't know. And there's another $2 from Mike McGee. Do I think Alexa Bliss is under Aleister Black's control? Sorry, I missed that one earlier. I kind of do. And then Dorf, I got you. All right. I think that was all I missed. So yeah, I did miss a couple there. I apologize for that, but I think I've got everybody caught up now. And yeah, good suggestions. Oh no, Miles, I'm not leaving forever. Just leaving tonight. And this is day number 8 of streaming on the channel. We've been up here ever since last Monday, every single night. Hall of Fame, both nights of TakeOver, SmackDown, and predictions, and both nights of Mania. And now here, this is my last stream in a row. Next time you're going to get me is supposed to be this coming Saturday for the podcast. However, I've got my second vaccine shot coming on Thursday, and I heard it's gnarly. So if I get sick, some might have to be postponed there. But otherwise, the plan is to be up here this Saturday. But unfortunately, nothing between now and then. At least I don't have planned for the channel, because I got to go back to work tomorrow. I've been off for a full week sitting here. This has been my job all week doing WrestleMania. So my other job needs to see my face tomorrow and the rest of the week. So I'm going to go in and do that, and then I'll be back up for the weekend. And then the plan going forward, is to do some watch-alongs and stuff. I don't know if I'm going to get one done this Sunday or not. Maybe I'll try. It's all going to depend on how I feel. But we've got a couple of watch-alongs planned. We're going to try to do videos every Sunday on non-pay-per-view days, maybe do a watch-along or do some sort of a hangout or review. That's coming together right now. I also have a Royal Rumble 1993 live stream review that we're going to do some point this month. I just got to nail down a date for that. So that's coming up. It's going to be a fun month. But in terms of this week, might be slightly quiet on the channel because I just worked my YouTube balls off in the past 8 days. And you know what? It's been a lot of fun. So thank you very much to everybody that was here all week long, every night. I love doing this. I'm glad we got fans back this year. And we got, even though it wasn't the greatest WrestleMania season, the greatest Hall of Fame, it was something. And I really enjoyed doing it. And it might be my last one for a couple of years because next year I'm planning on going to WrestleMania. And the year after that, it's here in LA. So I might be doing a lot of that for WrestleMania week. But I always enjoy this time of year because it allows me to take off and be here with you guys and hang out. And that will continue to roll as we now cross into our working on our 12th year. Had our 11-year anniversary on the channel yesterday. Next one will be 12, and it's been a hell of a decade, and we got another WrestleMania season in the books. So that's a wrap. What a week. That was fun. Had a good time. Again, thank you to everyone for your support. Thanks for the super chats, for the engagement, for the likes, for the retweets, for the comments, all that stuff. Everybody that's been with me all week long, y'all have been great, and I can't say thank you enough. So y'all take care. Have a good rest of your